pretend. You just get who I am. Almost feel like we're fam. Think it's time that we try something money can't buy. You and me should go dance. Maybe find us some romance. I don't wanna talk tonight. I don't wanna waste another night. I just wanna hit the floor. Maybe somewhere I haven't been before. I don't wanna kill the vibe. I don't wanna feel it if it don't feel right. I just wanna break the ice. There's so much more to life than tears. There's so much more to life than fears. All I want is a night off. All I need is a night off. All I want is a night off. Ooh. Take it away, take it away, take it away. Do it my way, do it my way, do it my way. Free from the pain, free from the pain, free from the pain. A night off, a night off. Take it away, take it away, take it away. Do it my way, do it my way, do it my way. Free from the pain, free from the pain, free from the pain. A night off, a night off. Ooh. There's so much more to life than tears. There's so much more to life than fears. All I want is a night off. All I need is a night off. All I want is a night off. Ooh. Take it away, take it away, take it away. Do it my way, do it my way, do it my way. Free from the pain, free from the pain, free from the pain. A night off, a night off. I know the reason why we chose to say goodbye.
Thank you. Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
How much longer can you hide? You can try and push away from me. You kick and scream, you're begging, please. But once you get a little taste of freedom, you wanna get up off your knees. Come over, don't fight how you really feel. Come closer to me. I'll give you something to believe in. Come over, don't fight how you really feel. Come closer, please.
Pazzo, and I have the pleasure to call this game with my esteemed colleague Benjamin Reese. Benji, how you doing this lovely Sunday morning?
Is it even morning anymore? It's like 5 to 2 now. It's weird
it feels
because
like one game blends to the other.
well, exactly. It's just been such a breakneck weekend. I think this is going to be a matchup that is hype as heck. Like Mooncatchers, I think, were many people's favourites to win the whole thing from the off. And after a shaky start, France Open have really got on a roll here. And a fiery francophone encounter on a superb Sunday afternoon at Windmill. Not sure I could ask for any more, Steph.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about that French side. You see them coming out now. They had a tale of two very different performances against a common opponent. And that common opponent was probably the expected finalists. Everybody expected them to be here, and they got knocked out. Tell us exactly who that is, Benji, and a bit about the two times they faced France.
Some team called Clapham Ultimate. I feel like they've had a good history historically. Yeah, on the first day, France, how can I put this? They got pretty smashed, 15-7 in the end. And that's like, you kind of wonder, okay, is this a setback? Is this just who they are? They'd lost the previous game to Austria on Universe as well. And at that point, you're thinking, they might not, there's a chance they don't even make the top 8, right? Fierce competition at Windmill, there's a chance they slide down, but they bounce back, won their remaining 3 pool, Swiss draw games pretty handily as well. Finish off Swiss draw 15-5 over Ireland, and then got on a real roll in the brackets, 15-10 over Condors in the quarterfinals, and then in the semi-finals, a rematch with Clapham, 14-8 final score. I mean, that's a bit of a pasting, in all honesty.
Absolute pasting. We haven't seen... Okay, we have seen Clapham go down like that recently, but not a full rostered version of Clapham. You have not seen the Clapham ship sink like that. So the French, I mean, they come in as the underdogs still, but they knocked off Clapham, who in turn had knocked off Moon the day before on a universe point cracker in the last game of the Swiss draw.
An absolute screamer, 15-14 in 75 minutes. Just shows how high quality it was. And if both of these sides can play to their potential, we could have an instant classic on our hands, Steph. Not to try and jinx it.
Not to try and jinx it, but I am feeling it after that wonderful women's final.
Wasn't it good?
Oh, my goodness. The French did everything, pulled every trick they had up either sleeve to try and make something of it, and they certainly made something of it. They couldn't topple the Germans, but great game. And, Windmill there, you see the flips right now. Chevalier and Coach Delamine have got the flip. And Hannah Pendlebury is going to chase them down to get a little interview out of the... Pierre Delamine, he sees that he's been hurt or rallied up by Hannah. So we'll get a word out of them, Benji. But, yeah, this one has all the promise. The Mooncatchers with their new style of play, their cycling, their grinding rather than they're just blowing games open with big throws and sky receptions. They're doing it differently, and they tend to be winning in the way that they do it.
I like that there's this interesting combination of the more experienced and more veteran talent. Veteran, they're the same thing. Experienced and younger talent for France. Thinking about the players that have kind of, been around the block feels a bit harsh, but, the Roger brothers who, have been at the very highest level. A lot of the chat guys have been in the system for a long time, as well as those players that we've seen come through the youth ranks. I remember commentating on Nemo Cotil back in 2017 at EYUC in Veenendaal. Kais Mate was phenomenal for French under-20s in their run to the finals at the World Juniors last year. There is potential all over this roster that is just begging to bust out in much the same way we've seen the Mooncatchers do over the past few years.
Yeah, it is there. This is obviously the difference between a national team and a club team there, but the youth you speak of, Benji, is oozing with potential for the French side. They've got enough of the wily veterans to keep them in line, and if they can just, access all that athleticism in their youth, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to swing with any team on the European scene here or beyond.
I mean, if we just think back to last weekend to EBUCC, Elliot Bonnet was playing for 33 Tours, the Bordeaux side, and he was essentially unstoppable.
I mean, in the last game, he was on the score sheet for every point but 2, I think, in the very end of it all.
Like, that's, again, France generally has done a really good job of putting in those strong youth teams, developing those players coming through. And it's not just kind of one flash in the pan generation, right? You do see that development going through, and they're consistently generating young players. And this is a Mooncatcher side that's, brought through its fair share of good younger talent as well. Obviously, that's probably headlined by the Yonkers brothers, Ben and Ref. And, they've recruited well, I'll say as well, bringing in, their Latvian friends, Tom Sabeltinch and, of course, Arvid Zorlovskis. Dan Demarais made the short trip up from Leuven, where he came through the system at Jet Set to now play with the men from the Moon. And they've got, as you say, those more veteran presences. Your Ishinskis, Eric Huhtinen as well, again, a bit more experience, the American Finn. And, yeah, it's a star-studded roster on both sides. Open final underway. I cannot wait.
Benji, I'm right there with you, and luckily there's no waiting to remain. This game is on. The pull landed back of the end zone, and Huhtinen packs his beard up and walks it to the line before the first throw.
Let's get it, Steph.
Here they come, Ben Yonkers. Backhands out to brother Ref. Ref inside cut to Bakeman's, the lethal goal scorer over the course of this tournament. Ben Yonkers through Chinsky and now looks back to center. Ref Yonkers looks upfield. These Yonkers brothers, as Benji said off the top, very lethal players. Bakeman gets it underneath. And Demarais covered up by Robles, so ups to go far sideline to Ref Yonkers. Yonkers to Huhtinen. Now they're nearing the goal line. Ben Yonkers, 7 to 10 meters out. Dump space to Demarais. Now Ben Yonkers. Shot towards the goal line. That one is in. Yonkers to Yonkers. They're on the score sheet.
I think if you think of what is a classic Mooncatchers performance, you're thinking they're going to have some big plays, but they'll be maybe a little bit inconsistent, slightly up and down. I think that is kind of epitomized in last year's Windmill final, where they had some brilliant moments, but in the end kind of wilted a little bit in the spotlight against a fierce Clapham unit. And this time, it's only been a year, but they're a much more mature, measured outfit. Seeing those possessions where they grind it down the field, it's not unusual anymore.
And we're just going to have a word from Hannah. We had a pregame interview set up that there was just not enough time because of the wonderful winner's circle, but Hannah got some great info from 2 captains.
Absolutely. Speaking to Chartrain and obviously Pierre-Alain Delamine, we were chatting about obviously the game. These 2 teams know each other really well. There's a lot of love, a lot of respect, but both teams wanted to really shout out the youngsters and all the people who are coaching the juniors programs in both France and Belgium. They're definitely really excited, and especially having looked at the results, they're expecting this one to be a close fought game.
Yeah, certainly. A blowout is not something I see between these 2 sides.
That one bounces in just and rolls out. Prior Martin, the gigantic calved young man from Nemours, will bring it to the front line. Oh, there's a great bid by Vandenbroek, but possession maintained, and the French are moving.
I think I was going to say, that's a tone setter for the Mooncatchers defense.
Indeed. Chevalier comes under to Giffard in his Viking ponytail. Now Page underneath. Winds up the big and waits for something to develop. Underneath, Herbreto. Up and around to Benvignen. Benvignen gets inside and underneath to Cheret and Giffard. Now the French stringing together passes without hesitation. Nice bit of flow back to center, Benvignen. Faking gives the lefty backhand. And wide around, Chevalier does catch up. Inside to Page. Page to Benvignen. The French slowing down their attack here. Defense tightening up, and Desmarais steps through and robs one from the French. Now they shoot the other way. It's hanging, and the intended receiver gets there first. That is Betrancourt, one of the youngins, Benji, getting the first break for Moon.
The Mooncatchers were so excited before the game to say, yes, you know about the Yonkers brothers, you know about Dan Desmarais, who plays both ways, and you see why there. But they've got talent up and down the roster. Betrancourt's not even been playing a year or so, really, and but he has a really good athletic background from other sports. He's brought that mentality over into Ultimate, and he has excelled. There you see Dan Desmarais, he just reads that so well. It's not just the athleticism from him, it's the intuition that he shows defensively. And then Hockey's absolutely rips it, and Betrancourt gets just rewards for putting in the work on the deep strike. It's the Mooncatchers break, 2-0.
2-0 to start. French looked good in the midfield stages of that possession. But just as I was saying, they were slowing down, the stall counts were mounting. Well, you saw, but that then came the step through. They got to keep that angle of attack moving, keep it bouncing as they did in the midfield set. Of course, advantage goes to the defense. The smaller the field becomes, less area to defend. But that's when the French need to keep bouncing it side to side as that one goes out and Raveau goes to chase it.
It could be easy, especially, you know, we mentioned there's a lot of young talent on the French side. You know, you're in a big final for maybe not quite the first time, because of course we've mentioned their success in the youth programs, but there's a big crowd here, and you don't want to let the game get on top of you early.
Roger Bourbon comes under and gets Lucas Bouchon. He goes back to Roger Bourbon, and now Red near sideline.
Should that not be rude?
Red up line to Roger Bourbon. Leading pass for goal. That one's in. Red and Roger connect to seal the deal.
Yeah, Red's a Brit originally, isn't he? He was one of your charges on ISNO, but it's interesting when you play for a national team that's not the country of your birth, because you wonder, you know, is there sometimes maybe that weird sort of culture clash? Not for Red. He's been, I mean, as long as I can remember, he's been an ISNO boy, so he is fully French by this point, and he fits into the system well.
We can call him Rouge, I guess. But
yeah.
He's been in Paris a very long time now. Has his partner is a French-born woman, and he's been playing the club system in Paris, Noisy-le-Sec, for a very long time, and has now made the national team, and that's full French validation now, wearing the France jersey. So Robles sends the pull. French already need a break, and that one bounces out, and it will come back in at the brick mark.
And in almost precisely the same location as Orlovsky's pull from that side did. Interesting, because we have had games in the stadium before this weekend, but it's been on 2 pitches. Now we're shifted into the middle a little bit more. How does that change the wind conditions?
Let's see if we can figure it out. Let's see if they figure it out. Ben Yonkers comes to the double shoe-colored Oczynski underneath. And Oczynski just flubs one. And how good of a chance is this for the French to break?
And they needed that, well, if they could put it in, of course. Easier said than done, but you, as we mentioned, don't let the game get on top of you. Don't let Mooncatchers create that lead. Let them know you're in a game, and whenever they make those silly free turnovers, you have to punish them for it.
Oh, Desmarais is not allowing that punishment. Roger Bourbon through to Robles. Robles opened up, but is he really opened up with Desmarais only one step away? The answer is no in that case. Now Oczynski gets it back from Yonkers. Huhtinen engages Ben Yonkers. Ben to Ref. The Yonkers brothers connect once again. Now Ref shoots to Oczynski. He's there, and they're on the board again. The break chance slips away, and Moon hold again.
A very different D this time for Dan Desmarais. The first time, it was about the game IQ, reading the opportunity to step in front. This one, I mean, maybe he's baiting the throw a little bit, but you see him just really explode off the turf there.
It's insane to think that you could bait a player like Sullivan Robles,
Right.
who's a World Games player himself, who's got incredible first step speed. Here's another look at it. But look at that bid by Dan Desmarais. I mean,
Desmarais is a full-fledged superstar at this point. Like, there's no stopping it. And you're seeing that, yes, they're not the same huck-happy Mooncatchers as they were in the past, but they've got such, in the NFL, I guess you'd call it arm talent, right? They can really stretch the field with their throws, and they are making you defend every blade of artificial grass here, every single piece of rubber crumb. Because it doesn't matter that they're on one sideline, they'll throw the blade right the way over to the back corner of the other, absolutely fine, does not phase them one iota.
no phasing the Moon. I think one of the wisest things they ever did was put Coach PA into place there to handle things from the sideline, to be able to kind of put a sober second thought to their gameplay, and it's paying dividends thus far this year. Chevalier kicks things off for this next attack. I would say O-line attack, but they don't run them quite like that. Charret to Lièvre. Lièvre gets Chevalier underneath. He fakes the backhand big. Now Charret gets into the dump space. Charret wide and around. Herbreto goes forward to Page. Shows his sure hands and then bounces from sideline to sideline. Charret gets a cut out of Herbreto. Wide and around, Giffard takes it high with two hands. Giffard looking for the inside break. Now gets Chevalier. They've got a bit of space with Benvignen. The Mooncatchers defense, we're seeing again in the short field how much they tighten up. But the French continue to make completions. Page to Giffard. Giffard goes to the wide open Charret in the dump space and then gets a step on his defender. Fakes the hammer. Oh, a nice lefty break to get Herbreto. Inside break, and Clément Giffard cannot handle it. And these errors need to be put away, or it could spell trouble for this French team.
Yeah, I think there's an injury on the field. It's one of the Fowler brothers. There's three of them on the roster because, for whatever reason, Belgium Ultimate just churns out crazy good siblings at an alarming rate. Maybe just landed a little bit awkwardly because he's trying to put the pressure on Giffard. There's opportunity there, but the throw's a little bit more of a riser than perhaps. I think you could probably sit that out more towards that break side and let Giffard try and run onto it rather than go up and grab it.
Now, another break chance for the Mooncatchers. And there's a foul there. It's thrown away, but I think everything was called before the throw by Muller.
I'm sure Mooncatchers remember the defeat by Clapham in last year's final, where they let the more experienced team get on top of them, and they find it hard to kind of battle back from that. Now it's their turn to try and fill that role.
It's exactly that. Ref Yonkers was talking a bit about that last night, saying, well, they respect the French, great side, they've got all the parts, but at least we've had the experience of being here last year. We've kind of been doing it as a team just a bit longer, and they believe that experience will pay dividends. Thus far, yes, Chevalier has a snag at that, but hauled in and maintained.
Stoppage downfield for a pick. Actually, Mooncatchers were really excited, or at least Ref was, about facing France in the final, because they said, yeah, it would have been nice to get the revenge on Clapham for the Swiss draw loss, but you come to tournaments like this to play a diverse field of opponents, and we haven't played this French side, and we're bang up for it.
Ref to Orlovsky's. There's two French defenders in front, but he is Orlovsky's. And it is a Team D effort, and they knock it away, and that's what they need to do against him.
He is Orlovsky's, but he is human. That time, they did a really good job of just bracketing in there, giving him no real room to work with. Page goes up early, it makes Orlovsky's go up early, and in the end, the French earn the disc back.
Great bit of defense by the French national team. EDF, Équipe de France.
Maybe.
Maybe.
By the way, if you, rather than us throwing in cheeky bits of French, you want actual French commentary, we do have it available for this game.
And of course, you know the Winner's Circle feed, always go and check them out. Go see the German ladies celebrating right now. But back to our game. Herbreto goes to Giffard. His telltale Viking ponytail still flapping behind his pace. Page inside to Giffard. Giffard finds Herbreto. And back to Giffard. Very good bit of movement there. Lots of space by the time Lièvre gets it on the near sideline. He throws forward. Giffard now just puts a little leader, not quite in still. Back to Giffard. Now goes wide. Chéret is there. And the French put one on. It's 3-2. Moon still dictate, but a good response.
I know you said it's a Viking ponytail for Giffard. I'm going to disagree with you slightly and co-opt a phrase. I don't think it's old school cool. I think it's old school ghoul. It's more like something like Asterix and Obelix to me. And I think it's a really good signature look. I really like it, to be fair. Like, there's no doubt, like, you see that, you see the kind of the ponytail part. It's like, oh yeah, Giffard's playing. This is going to be good. And I kind of thought there were a couple of opportunities there where France could have maybe tested a deep shot. And they're thinking, no, you know, the last thing we need, again, especially because we know how athletic Moon are, we don't want to allow them to kind of give them that space to try and goon around. We're going to be sensible, work it, take those sensible options. I thought the handler movement generally there for France was exceptional. Very rarely getting into high stall counts, if at all.
Good looking response. That's the best we've seen the French. That last point they've put was their tidiest, especially the defensive effort to negate the would-be Orlovsky's goal and then to walk it up the whole length of the field to score. Great show on a second effort holds. Now Ref Yonkers and his brother Ben behind the disc. Ben Yonkers gets Desmarais, and how dangerous are just those three names already that are handling for the Mooncatchers. Ref Yonkers. He gets Oczynski. Oczynski throws low, no call. Misthrown by Oczynski, and a glorious chance for France.
He likes those little okey-doke no-pivot backhands, does Oczynski, and he'll throw them with either hand. And this time, perhaps it wasn't quite there. And Red gets a little, I don't think he got a huge amount, but he got enough to make sure that it hit the turf. And I think the disc picked up but maybe a Tokai cleat mark on the way through, so they're just going to change that out.
And the French will set up their half-field set. Ravo with Mate in the backfield. Bouchon comes under. And leader, great. That is a great reflex pickup by Ravo. Now Bouchon leads Ravo. He's got space, but there's company. He squeezed it in. Great throw by Bouchon.
Yeah, they cleared that space out really nicely. Mooncatchers saw what was going to happen, and Ref started to come in. And what I did like is that he didn't fully commit to it, because he knows that if he does, there's going to be an almighty collision underneath. So it's like, fair enough, you win this round. We'll live to fight another day. And France earned that disc back nice and cleanly. And yeah, it was a good force from Red, but I think maybe Mooncatchers were just a little bit lackadaisical there.
Yeah, just a touch. It's all back on serve now, Benj, with a break piece. And the specials, message to you, Rudy, blaring in the stands. The Windmill vibe is in full swing. We've got a German women's national team celebrating and drinking some champers in the winner's circle.
Surely they played this because Rudy Ravo scored, right? Surely they knew, and it's not just coincidence.
They have got it all lined up. I'm sure they've got a scoring song for every player that associates, right?
I've always wanted that, like a baseball player's walk-up music.
They need it. We need it. That's the next step.
That's legitimacy, Steph.
We're getting there, slowly but surely. And why are we getting there? Because of you, our viewers. Your liking, subscribing, and your patronage helps us get to where we want to be, where we deserve to be with this sport.
This isn't the pulling competition, by the way. You are supposed to land it in the field, not just as far as you can.
Not just straight distance.
by the way. And it was nice to see in the representing in the pool competition, Lithuania, Norway. Like, there is talent all across Europe if you just take a little time to open your eyes and find it.
Here comes Ben Jonkers. Fakes a couple big ones and then goes to Hootenen. Now Jonkers gets his brother Ref on the far sideline on the under. Ref blades one up to Desmarais. And Desmarais looks back to center. Jonkers slows down his cut and establishes the pivot foot better. Now Desmarais. He wound up, but he didn't give it, Benji.
There's a couple of those where they've looked for those throw and goes and we're like, no, actually no, let's just follow the plan.
Ben Jonkers. Forward, Bakeman's make sure the catch, but not in because of it. Now Ben Jonkers again. 7 meters out. Widens up and goes to center to Desmarais. Desmarais back to Ben Jonkers. And he gets it again. And there's the leading throw. Great finish. Desmarais to Oczynski. 4-3. Mooncatchers dictate.
That layout from Bakeman's there, how often do you see players be like, oh, I can score here, and they go for the catch and try and toe the line as well, and in the end, you end up doing neither and you lose your opportunity. Bakeman's doing the sensible thing, making sure that I'll get the catch because I've got no worries about our red zone offense punching it in anyway.
Yeah, if it takes another throw, if it takes another 10, well, there's no option that's going to exist if that catch isn't solidified. So make the catch, worry about the feet later, especially when it's a goal line or field proper. Okay, when it's the sideline and it's going to be a turnover either way, you tread a bit more carefully, you guide that line a little bit better. But in that case, Bakeman's played it perfectly.
Bit of REM in the background. Wonder why they've chosen this.
Yeah. Oh, the man on
it is Man on the Moon, yeah.
They're doing all right, Benji. They're doing all right.
Windmill just keeps playing the hits. And so do the teams, to be fair. I just want, like, it's been very respectful so far. I want someone to do something outrageous and be like, nah, we're just going to open things up a little bit.
Yeah. It's going to happen. There is too much talent on this field for that to not happen, Benji.
Well, I think the thing is as well is that the deep shots, even if they don't come off, they do open up your offense. They make players respect those cuts a little bit more. Otherwise, I think we see teams begin to key down on those unders even more, and it'll force the deep shot whether they want it or not.
Here comes France. Prior Martin opens up to Chevalier, and now Benvignen. Page gets a touch. Now, and Orlovsky's gets a hand block on Page, and another chance to break.
A couple of hand blocks already this game.
He is just a big man to throw around.
Does Dan Desmarais ever leave the field?
I don't think often. And why would you take him off if he's just going to convert breaks for you? Mooncatchers do it in one throw, the conversion side of things, and put themselves back firmly in the driver's seat.
I think I'd want maybe a little more awareness there from France. Yeah, maybe they kind of rope-a-doped you a little bit with Orlovsky going a little bit slow, and then Desmarais kind of starting out of nowhere, but surely you know they're going to try and set up an isolation to Desmarais at the front of the end zone. And even if that wasn't the specific play you called, when everyone else goes towards the back, this is always going to be what they're going to try and do. Especially with the length, Orlovsky is never really going to have that much of a struggle to break the mark unless it's an exceptional force, and we have seen some, to be fair, like the turn that Orlovsky's gained himself with the point block, but just have someone just sit a little bit on that break side, just to put that seed of doubt in the Mooncatchers' minds.
You talk about the line calling by the French. They've got 3 balanced lines, Benji. Going down early in the game, how far do you got to go down until you start using power lines, until some sort of specialization, some sort of urgency comes into your line calling game? They're down 2 now. Are we there yet, or is there still enough time to kind of use the systematics that you built for the team?
I'll be honest, it's not a system that I would have used in the first place, so it's a little bit difficult for me to be completely objective about it.
Fair.
But I think knowing what the French are all about, again, you draw up a game plan for this, and it will be in there. It doesn't matter. This is the system that we use. We trust the system. And if you start to doubt that as a coach, then it puts the doubts into the players' minds that maybe this isn't the right thing to be doing, and that in turn makes things even tougher for you. So if you've agreed that that's the plan, I think you've got to stick for it for a fair while longer.
Like that analysis, Benji. Combray goes to Bouchon and gets a lucky Mac to keep that out of the way of another break chance. Raveau comes under. He zips one to Mate right away. And there's a small discussion, likely a pick.
I was surprised that reset went because it was really good coverage from Matthew Müller, but he got a big enough piece of it, but didn't catch it. Would have been a difficult one to catch, but if you don't, it does open the door. And France were like, fine. Doesn't matter that you know we maybe shouldn't have completed it. The fact was it was still there to be caught, so let's keep playing.
Yeah, and Mate does hang on to it. He gets it up to Roger Bourbon on the corner. And the man known as Crash looks back towards the center, and he gets Mate. Mate goes inside to Roger. He gets Petitot on the cross and then low and into the hands of Raveau. The French hold after the break.
Second goal of the game for Rudy Raveau.
Does that mean we're going to get the same music coming up next?
I can't think of any other songs with the word Rudy in them, so
Me either.
probably. We'll see what they go to. This was, again, they are trying to make the French work it underneath. They're not allowing them the big plays. Here was the block that wasn't. That's going to be agonising for Müller, which to his credit, he picks himself back up nice and quickly, gets ready to play more defence, and then they are very slow and patient around the end zone. And just utilising the full width of the field to get that break side option. The little dish off there from Roger Bourbon. And Petitot punches it in to Raveau for the score. See it again here from the drone can as well. There's not a huge margin, and the cut is quite early, but you only need a step or two in the red zone. And if you trust the throw and you trust the receiver, that's always going to go, I think.
Volunteers finding a little bit of space on our sideline here. We've got a banging setup for the final to bring this action back to you at home as though you were here in Amsterdam.
If you can't be here at Windmill, and I do recommend that you find a way to make it here even once, well, this is the next best place to be.
Ref Yonkers centers to his brother Ben. Oh! Is that a Callahan? You gotta be kidding me! That is out of control. The 10 shirt comes under, and France break in the best way possible.
I was thinking that Mooncatchers didn't look particularly flustered about the prospects of the Callahan, despite being in their own end zone. A little bit of a miscommunication, and the French sensed the opportunity, and they pounced like tigers onto it. I'm just trying to see if I can get another look at who it was who came steaming through. There it was. Demareau's got a little bit of separation from Robles.
It's Nemo Courtil, the number 6 shirt, Benji, who makes that play, and holy dooly, that is a break and a spark all in one.
It's
that is
so
a
clean.
momentum changer, and he came out of absolutely nowhere to make that play, and a Callahan changes momentum. That is a tide-turning play.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it's just like, I think it was an offensive spacing issue where Moret made that cut towards the break side. There's already a player there, and that allows Courtil to just come forward a couple of steps and full extension. I think maybe a bit more communication from Mooncatchers, because I get the feeling Dan Demaret did not sense he was there at all.
Courtil is a replacement player on this roster.
What?
He's
not going to EUC.
At this stage, no, but I have a feeling they may reconsider.
I think he's going to EUC now, Steph. Big downfield.
There's a big downfield. Yeah, he's certainly making a case for himself.
Right, I don't think there's any more emphatica. Yes, put me on the team, coach.
Yeah, we'll take him. How about that guy who gets Callahan's in finals? Should we take him?
No. I mean, think about it. That guy got Callahan in the final, and he wasn't even on the roster originally. depth France have, that's getting contributions from everyone on the roster.
Urchinski gets a wide open Desmarais. Desmarais shakes and sends the backhand to Yonkers. Ref Yonkers sends back to Desmarais and then finds Houtanen. Houtanen gives the lefty. And Mooncatchers slowing things down at around the midfield mark. Ben Yonkers. Oh, and another pickoff. Chevalier jumps in the lane, and there's a chance to break and take a lead for France. Giffard, 7 meters out. Having a look, he's got Page. They've got a lead. Can you believe this, Benji?
I absolutely can, because France, you mentioned how Callahan can be a huge energizer. It's the offensive spacing for the Mooncatchers that is causing them problems, because there, that little cut off the front, the handler is kind of, he's not far enough back to keep Chevalier from lurking in that space, or he's not being activated to thus try and draw Chevalier there. And he reads this coming like a book, snatches it through, and the French are rocking and rolling right now. If they continue this, they're not just good for maybe the Windmill title, but they will be a phenomenal handful in Limerick next month. There's just a bust of coverage in the end through to Page, but I just want to say, we mentioned how they got absolutely, boat raced by Clapham on the Friday, and sometimes you do need a hefty loss like that, maybe, obviously not in a tournament in a bracket, right, but maybe earlier on in a warm-up tournament like Windmill to say, okay, evidently we need to improve, we need to do better. That's a wake-up call. Boy, have the French woken up.
And they said it themselves too. A chat with Pierre-Louis Combré-Pilou, as he's known, said that was the best thing for them. The wake-up call, they were looking up and seeing the stars on Clapham that they've seen, and they needed to know that they're on the same pitch, and they learned the hard way, and it has paid dividends. Yonkers to Yonkers, crash on the chase. That's Roger Bourbon. But Yonkers will retain possession. Of course, a francophone battle out there on the field. Brussels, French-speaking Belgians, and of course the French-speaking French. So we should have very few miscommunication moments out here. Houtanen jacks it. Muller's there. Ravo's there. Oh my goodness! And Muller pulled out the ladder and got up to save that throw.
We did say that at some point one of these sides is going to have to open it up a little bit just to kind of stop the field really compressing on them. It's Houtanen, who, it's nice having a leftier in your offense because it changes angles a little bit. You can get that flick out quickly down the center of the field, and he hangs it up there, and it's a maelstrom of receivers underneath it. And who climbs Jacob's ladder? Matthew Müller. What a grab that is. It's the hang time he gets there. It's just, like, unbelievable. He's up there for so long.
The throw, probably not the perfect option, we could say. But that is a throw that is well bailed out. And Mathieu Muller, wow, that was a big up and a big take with a bit of traffic, not quite, but there was never a moment in the leading steps to that leap that you didn't believe Muller was going to come down with that.
I mean, maybe you didn't. I was like, surely he's not going to. I mean, I should just stop doubting
They can do it all. And Roger Bourbon, Axel gets the unders to Stangenik. He leads, and that's taken tough by Courtil, who has to run through a whole bunch of tech and then calls the foul. Well done to not collide with the sideline affairs there.
Yeah, I appreciate he's trying to make the bid, but he is late and definitely comes down. He's landing on the act. Looks to be okay. Again, maybe it's not such a catch.
Roger Bourbon goes the other side. Mikote gets under to Stangenik. And Mikote wide open on the secondary cut. Looks back to Stangenik and throws around to the large Orlovskis. Now Bonet. Bonet breaks with a backhand. Stangenik there and gets it up beyond the bidding Orlovskis. So our score line knotted up.
7-6 France with the ever so slight lead. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe if it was me, put out a strong line, get another break into half because you received to begin the second as well. But France don't think like that. They've got the plan and the plan is working.
And isn't it Ref Yonkers? Goes to Muller. Now Dan Demarais. Back to Ref Yonkers as they pass half and he shoots for Demarais. It's well weighted and nobody's gonna get in front of that one. Ref Yonkers drops a dime and doesn't move possession for a little while as that one sets in.
You know what this means, don't you, Steph?
What does it mean when it's 7-7?
We've got a cheeky bit of Galaxy point action.
Oh, and we've got a timeout before that. They're all gonna think about what they're doing. We'll take a short break here for these messages and be back right after the timeout for Galaxy Point. Back in, 7 apiece. Mooncatchers take the timeout. They're going through some breathing exercises in their circle right now with Coach Delamine, trying to calm themselves and find a way to return to the form they were in at the start of this game.
Here's Carly Blair and Bicycle Mark doing the stadium announcements. You've seen Dan Demarais in the back of your picture there. Not bad first half so far. 2 goals, an assist, and a couple of blocks. I think you take that.
Yeah, that's a keeper, all right.
Galaxy Point, by the way, smooth, clean hold after the offense has been a bit up and down for the Mooncatchers. Nice confidence booster there. Totally understand, you know, taking the time out here. You know, you can't save them for other games, so why not? It's a big one. For those of you kind of, why do we make a big deal of Galaxy Point? It's like Universe Point, right? But just smaller, sudden death to take half. It's huge for France here because they're effectively a break up. So you get the old 2 for none here, where you know you receive if you can mark it, if you can work it down, you punch it in for the score, you take half time, and then come out for the second half. And you're receiving the ball again. You get 2 possessions back to back, and you can open up that little bit of separation in front of the Mooncatchers. And hell, even if Mooncatchers break, well, they're still trading down.
Yeah, break to put it on, serve and down. Orlovsky's set to put this Galaxy Point into play. Here it comes with the outside in. backhand that's going to land and roll to that sideline after a kick. So I think if he touched it, he's playing for the point of the sideline. It rolled out.
He is. But I guess maybe he just didn't get a touch on it.
Yeah, so front cone. The French initiate, and they initiate right into Bakeman's. Petitot's throw was well off. And now Orlovsky's chance to break, short field. But Demarais gets there on the turnaround, and it's halftime on a break, back on serve. Mooncatchers up 8-7.
I mean, I'm sure they would have come up with a defensive plan off the timeout. Nice rolling pool as well. That allowed them the opportunity as well. They could refresh some of their guys. I think it's Bakeman's who got the blocks potentially. They're just coming through, and then Orlovskis sits it out in front of Demarais, who's got that nice tight turning circle. See it now from the drone. That's a spacing issue again for France. Good recognition from Bakeman's to turn around, get the block, knock it to the floor. And then as well, taking the time out just took a bit of the air out of the French sails. After some big plays, it brought them back down to earth slightly, just chilled them out a little bit, and maybe they lost some of that fire, was slightly extinguished. Here's the halftime stats for you.
So having a look at those stats, breaks are leveled.
I mean, it's so even. Just one clean hold, really the difference between the two sides in Mooncatchers' favour. But, I mean, you cannot really ask for a better first half in this Open final.
So we're getting ready for some halftime highlights for you as you take a look from the sky, and here's Tokai.
Here we have a few replays on the highlights of this first half of the Open final. Crazy differences, crazy stuff going on in the field. We've seen a lot. Here we have a look at the Nemo Cortil Callahan layout. What a vision of the play. Cortil with the layout for the break. Callahan and another defense from Bastien Chevalier.
So great little halftime montage there from the great people at Tokai, making so much happen in this sport. Make sure you get a pair of them cleats to put on your feet, not just because they help, but because they are top of the line, fantastic cleats developed specifically for athletes of Ultimate. So get yourself into a pair.
Still going through the remnants of the women's pool competition.
So finishing up the pole competition, the halftime slightly extended here at Windmill.
It's another spanner in the works, I'm going to say, another fly in the ointment potentially. It's one of the reasons why, you know, Mooncatchers being in this situation before last year, they're used to having that extended half time, so maybe they can manage it a bit better than the French.
Yeah, again, every time you get to play in front of a crowd, every time you can do a big tournament final, it just prepares you more for that next one. When these games start to feel regular and old hat, that is a good thing in terms of performance, generally speaking. Walk in like you own the place.
Right. It feels glib to say that it's just another game, but you almost want to have that mentality. Like, you appreciate that it's a final and there's something on the line, but your preparation doesn't change, your routine doesn't change, your focus doesn't change. If it's good enough to get you ready for every other game, it should be ready to get you good enough for the final, right?
Yeah, you better believe it, Benji. Nothing should change. I mean, everybody wants to. You want to like put your best on and hype yourself, but every game you should want to be your best. Everything you did to get there was, you know, very near your best. If you have a best that is forever getting better, and it can just be, you know, 1% better than the rest, that's great. But there's no amount of focus or concentration that really changes that. It's almost the opposite. Calm, coolness, chill, and forget where you are, and just remember the training, remember all the rigors you went through, and remember the way you play competitively all the way up until that point, until the final. So yeah, Ben, I do agree with it. It is, treat it like just any old game.
So went into half-time on serve in the end after a topsy-turvy up and down half. You saw the Eurodisc tent in the background there as well. If you are in the vicinity of Windmill, just kind of watching things on your phone, then you can get down there and they will print you a disc with whatever design you, well, within reason, whatever design you want on it.
Whatever design you can photograph.
That won't get you sued.
Yes. Or have them feeling sick about it. In cases beyond those two, you're probably safe to bring them a picture. Team shot with your photo. We're gonna take a quick break and be back after these words.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Are back, ready for second half action. We know both these teams are ready to bend. They could not be separated by less going into a half. It's a 1-point lead. It's on serve. It's 8-7 Mooncatchers over France.
How it's on serve, I'm not quite sure, because both sides traded punches like heavyweight throwing haymakers. It's been a sensational game. Insane grabs, sick layouts, smart blocks. We even got a mother-loving Callahan in there. And somehow, we're finishing it on serve.
We're getting it all, Benji, and if that's what the first half had in store, I cannot wait. And again, we don't have to. The waiting part's through as Axel Roger Bourbon brings the disc to the front line. French set up in a horizontal set, and they are tipped into play. Bonnet comes under and is open. Bonnet winds up, but goes center to Roger Bourbon. Now Stangenik under, he sent it. Bonnet versus Desmarais, and Desmarais gets from behind the knockaway D.
Bonnet, I think, just misread it. I mean, it's bold to try and put it up against Dan Desmarais, to be honest. But that just shows the trust he has in Bonnet, but got always too far underneath it, I think.
Yeah, he did. The read was off. I think he felt the pressure, and he knew who the pressure was coming from as well. And he just maybe tried to put himself up a little earlier than he normally would have, because he knew he was in for one even at the height of his best jump. Orlovsky's goes the other way. It's Roger and Hoquet, and Desmarais cleans the pack up and takes it, and then gets checked over by Roger Bourbon.
The crowd didn't like that.
And there's a little bit of chat. Teammates pushing each other apart, ensuring that spirit is maintained here with a little bit of space, if nothing else.
Yeah, it looked like Roger Bourbon took umbrage with something that Bertrand Cour said, maybe saying that it was, a bit cynical, and teammates, why is he doing the right thing and being like, just leave it, it's not worth it. And Desmarais punched it into Hoquez to make it 9-7, Moon breaking on the first point of the second half.
Big break for the Belgians there. A Desmarais cleanup in that hospital grab was sensational. Another spectacular play. And Belgium back up by 2. It's 9-7.
By the way, how did Dan Desmarais get that disc? He wasn't even in the picture.
He cleaned up everybody in the picture, and you see Roger bump through, and he probably shouldn't have done that. What he probably should have done was called a foul, because I bet you there was some point of that immediate reaction that was, a bit of a rebut to the way Desmarais went through and took that steal, kind of cleaned up the pack, a bit of contact. If he didn't like it, he should have probably called the foul instead of kind of just giving the nudge by the time he got back onto his feet.
It was good that, they kind of diffused things quickly enough. As much as I'm sure the crowd would have maybe been secretly hoping for a bit of a scrap.
The all-Francophone affairs, we were talking about it the other night. I've seen some feisty all-Francophone affairs.
Really? That surprises me, Stef.
Well, let's see if we get another. We're into a cracking affair, any which way you slice it. Will it get spicier than it is? Stick around and find out. Prior Martin goes into Charret. He breaks to Benvenien. Has a nice look upfield. Quick pass to Giffard. Now, shot to goal. Greatest attempt! But that is going into the burger stand in the back.
The space was there. Chevalier saw the cut from Charret developing, just put it too far out in front, and fair play to Charret for recognizing that I'm not getting this in bounds. The only potential opportunity we've got to keep this alive here is the greatest.
Difficult ask.
It's if you weren't just quite how aware of how difficult they are, I think that shows that even he did everything right, just trying to really get it and release it in that same swift motion. So hard.
And knocked down by the intended receiver. That's Vandenbroek, who couldn't get there and smacked it away trying. Now a short field for the French. Benvenien crosses through his mark and goes wide on the second or third asking. Herbreteau to Charret, the greatest attempter. He pops one over to Benvenien, and that's a pretty throw. 8-9, they're back within one bench.
Salacious stuff there from the French. I think the drop from from Vandenbroek. I think Orlovskis just puts too much power in this, right? He doesn't need to quite ping it, I think, with the force that he did in the end. Van den Broek couldn't handle it. He's reaching out, he's trying to snag it and bring it in, and then the French, you know, after the earlier overthrow, they'd be given for like, let's punch it in and move on, but they stayed calm until a little bit of creativity just on the doorstep there from Chere over the top, just drops it into the lap of Ben Venien for the goal.
So French will require a break at some stage in this second half to put it at level Peggins. They would need 2, Benji, to give themselves a chance to win this. For now, their defense on the field, this is where break opportunities begin. Monuz sends the pull and Desmarais settles under. Yonkers goes to his brother Ref Yonkers. The 2 brothers play back and forth before going to Hootenen. Hootenen dumps it back, and now the shot, Desmarais, the intended target, he's gonna get there, and made it look easy with that breakaway speed in the last 7 to 10 strides.
It's Dan Desmarais' world, we're just living in it at this point. Like, just some separation, not miles of separation, but when you've got throwers like Mooncatchers, that's enough.
And that throw came from the hands of Ref Yonkers, I believe, once again.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it again on the replay. Again, it's this ability of both sides, but I'm talking about Moon here, to hit the field from every possible, hit the end zone, and hit every blade of grass at every single moment. Here's the replay. I think it's Ben Yonkers in the end, actually, who bombs it. Yeah, it is indeed the 35 of the Mooncatchers. The older of the 2?
No, the younger of the 2.
The younger of the 2. I always get them the wrong way round.
Yeah, Ref's the old boy. Old boy.
Oh, I know. Stef grumbled under his breath.
Yes. Well, Ben's still eligible for the under-24s. He's on that team, as we saw at Tom's tourney. Ref was playing for the Mooncatchers that won Tom's, as he was no longer eligible for the under-24 side.
And the rest of the world breathes a sigh of relief.
Well, I don't know how much sighs of relief they can have if the rest of the world's playing in that open division in under-24, because they are going to be coming, the Belgians. Very strong looking squad. So French, Axel Roger Bourbon. He goes wide and around to Courtil. Roger Bourbon, they're playing in their own end here. Robles gets a look.
I'm sure Robles remembers, as a lot of the French do, what happened last when they pinned Mooncatchers down in the end zone.
Do they ever? And maybe they don't want to be thinking about that while they've got the disc in hand, because that would spell disaster if they started thinking that way. Robles goes to Courtil, the man in question of the last time down there. Abita to Robles and back through Migote. Courtil with the disc, fakes the forward and looks back into the midfield. Robles goes up line for him, and they get good meters with that. Robles goes wide, and Johnny on the spot there. Number 7, Migote, gets hit right in the numbers.
That's quite a moony throw, that one. I mean, I was going to call it a blade. It's almost so vertical, it's just a straight-up knife at that point, right? He really slings it in there, and it's a trickier catch than he made it look, but it's relatively still out here on the stadium turf, so you get that opportunity to be a bit more creative and expansive with those throwing options. And rips it across the field to the near side of the end zone as we're looking at it, but the far side for him. For the score, France, again, they're putting in their own points. They need to try and see if they can find a way to cook up and manufacture a bit of defensive pressure now.
Another line on the field to play D. Not necessarily a D line. Aj set to pull. And the Moon O-line, very familiar at this stage of the weekend, at this stage of the game even. We've seen that lot of 7 out there doing a lot of work, a lot of them crossing over both sides of the disc, but a much shorter line being used by the Belgians, by Brussels, than by the French team right now. Bakeman's goes to Desmarais. Hootenen sends to Yonkers, but there is a bit of clacking hoofs there, a pick called in the midst of that stack.
Everyone's going to take a moment to reset themselves to their positions.
Ben Yonkers isolates Desmarais. And Ref Yonkers comes under. Ben Yonkers back to his brother Ref, the two of them. Now the hammer, and well read by Bakeman's. Prior Martin got sucked forward, and the hammer works for the score.
Yeah, that's a bit of a misread there from Prior Martin, I'm afraid to say, because as you said, he got suckered in too far underneath it. Bakeman's knew exactly where he was, and feels like we haven't really called Bakeman's name much this game. Just the block he got on Galaxy Point by stepping in to intercept, well, I think was actually the very first throw of the point. But normally we know him as kind of this end zone magnet, right? Just the disc seems to suck itself towards him when he gets down that end. And this time it's the hammer. We haven't seen much of the overheads this game from Mooncatchers, and now they're opening up the bags of tricks a bit more to open up their offense. A little bit of Queen hammer to fall in the background as well.
So Mooncatchers will put their defensive unit on the field and put that big pressure on France to hold here. Again, a revolving unit called upon by the French to do different jobs at different moments. In this case, this one of 3 7-player lines being called on for the all-important task of holding the possession. And Raveau misses the disc. It was touched and rolled, I think is what the sideline's saying, and that means Raveau's gonna have to come in about 5 to 7 meters deep into his own end zone. Or is he now making the claim that he did not touch it because he's coming right to the front cone?
He must not have done, even though the sideline was convinced for a second that he has.
Raveau cuts inside to Roger. Risky throw. Roger bombs it. Cambrai underneath, but not to go get beyond the hands of the defender, Betrancourt, and they are shaken up.
Yeah, they got a big lot of contact from Cambrai. I mean, what I like is that he doesn't just go and try and slap it. He actually just goes up and brings it down, doesn't give the second opportunity. We know how ambidextrous the Rogers can be, and Crash goes for the lefty backhand this time, and unfortunately for Betrancourt, he comes off rather worse for wear.
Yeah, he seems pretty banged up, getting helped up now. Here's another look at the play. There's the throw. And yeah, they get piled up. He actually got right back up to his feet. Must have been a delayed onset, the pain there, unless there was another bump.
Yeah, I think maybe kind of, you have that adrenaline for a little bit, don't you? And then you kind of, actually, this is painful. I got a lot of Cambrai's hip in my face.
Orlovsky's and the Mooncatchers coming the other way after the turnover despite the delay. And now it's Oczynski. Yonkers. Desmarais gets a free and sought to put it, but instead takes Orlovsky's on the under, and they're taking the conservative options, are the Mooncatchers. Ochinsky, Orlovsky's does clean it up, and that is going to spread the scoreboard apart just enough now. Biggest lead of the game.
Yeah, French having a bit more trouble on offense in the second half. You could see that the Mooncatchers were generating more pressure. This time Betrancourt with a brilliant, I mean, I'm so pleased that he caught it because it just provided no opportunity for Combray. We say this all the time. Don't make yourself a defender. Make yourself the receiver on it, and then Ushinsky just lobs this one up. There's two of them there. And it's Orlovskis who makes the catch for the score. 12-9. This is what Mooncatchers said they wanted to do, and they couldn't do it in the first half, which was really pull themselves away from the French. And they're managing it now in the second. Their 3-point lead is the largest either side has had in this contest so far.
And so, I mean, you know, buy into the system, Benji. It's not about Windmill for the French. It's about the EUC. It's about peaking. And as you said, they got to be able to trust this system. They got to stick through the system, especially in these moments like this. If I'm playing to win this game specifically, I'm throwing that plan out the window. But, and again, there's some, if you believe that you can get the win, there's some validity in throwing the plan out the window too, because of how much that is gained from winning a tournament. But right now, the French sticking with their 3 balanced lines deployment for whatever situation.
How often do we see talk about building a winning culture, a winning mentality?
Yeah, and that is easier said than done. How about that play there by Donné? Not getting a lot of burn, but using his chances when he's out there to make layout Ds. Orlovsky takes the timeout, and now there is all sorts of pressure on the shoulders of the French.
Yeah, Orlovsky, so I think you know that if you can make it 13-9 here, that is a dagger for the French. So using the timeout, get something cooked up. ISO to Dan Desmarais, anyone? We'll see what they come up with after the break.
In play, Mooncatchers have stretched this one out to a 3-point lead and a break opportunity in the hands of Orlovsky's, the big Latvian add-on to this Brussels club side. Bonnet taps them in and they're underway. Abeltinch initiated first, but Vandenbroek, and the turnout is timed over, and Roblet and the French look the other way, and that is a necessity. That break against would be a backbreaker. Roblet back to Roger Bourbon, Axel. and goes to Abita. Tight defense, Stanganic slides to pick it up. Bonnet goes to Mikote. Oh, great catch by Robles. That was down by the shoelaces. And Robles putting some pace into this offense. He shoots, Bonnet is all alone. What a shot by Robles, and a good possession by the French.
I mean, that is a frozen rope on a line there to Elliot Bonnet, because I thought for a second, with the pace it left his hand, that it was going to be overshot for sure. But Bonnet covers that ground so quickly, and he's thinking, I know what Moon are like defensively. I cannot afford to hang this up at all. I'm just going to zip it in there. And Bonnet finally getting to use that field stretching ability that it feels like France's offense has maybe been begging for a while.
Yeah. Again, there's moments where you might want to use just a bit more of some of those top-end lads on the French squad to see if that tide might be turned. I think that time's got to be coming soon. A nice hold by the French. What do they need to get back in this? Do we see a stack line? Yes, we do. This is not one of their three rotating lines. We see Combray, Giffard, Quentin, Roger, Bonnet, Bourbon, Elliot Bonnet, Stanganic, Page, and Robles. This, the first stack line by the French bench.
This is not about the process. This is about pride and about the victory.
Ben Yonkers leads to Brother Ref. Ref right back to Ben Yonkers. He comes under those two, able to work well in any space together. And Ref Yonkers slips it away. Maybe a bit of a hand on that, but just a mechanical error by the 88 shirt.
Yeah, if there was a hand on it, that's not the turnover here. I think maybe Ref kind of hesitated, like, I don't want to do this, but he couldn't quite stop himself. It flops out of the hand, and a brilliant break chance for France.
Quentin, Roger Bourbon goes inside to Giffard, who takes it high with Desmarais coming. Now Stanganic. Stanganic to Giffard, and straight away to Roger Bourbon. Back to Giffard. Now Combray. Combray swipes first. Wants Giffard, now looking to the pile, gets Giffard on the full turnaround. Giffard back to Combray. They're working in a small space, and a timeout by Combray as he was not excited about the options being generated.
And again, France recognize the importance of this break, because even if they get this, they still need two more if they want to win, and they're running out of time to do it. So the timeout makes a lot of sense to me here, Steph.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break too and be back after these words.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Back in action, the crowd stretching about with instructions, some synchronized stretching. The French with a glorious break opportunity with their first stack line of the game on the field.
You're not stretching off as well, Steph?
Now I'm gonna wait till this is all over. I need to maintain the bits and pieces of tenseness
I was
to be able
say.
to deliver the action back home affectionately.
I'm trying to get attention out because I don't want I think otherwise my brain might fall out of my ears.
Yeah, I mean, good thing we've got these headsets on. It's the only thing keeping
True.
them in at this stage, Benji.
Very true stuff.
Thanks again to all of you back home watching. We love you. Here's Cambrai. He shoots deep right away. Page is open, and the French score. One throw post timeout, and Cambrai gets a piggyback ride out of Roger for his effort.
Route 1. If they don't stop it, then why try anything else? Like, obviously we saw Mooncatchers take a timeout a little bit further down the field, so the deep option wasn't available in the same way there. And they turned it over, but the French, they had a clear plan of what they were doing, and when Mooncatchers didn't stop it, as a coach you're thinking, could not have wanted it to go any better.
Will we see the same line out there, or will they go back to their revolving lines? The French. And it's not the same line, but it's not a familiar rotating line, so they've kept some of the same players. Giffard, Robles, and Roger Bourbon and Bonnet, so 4 stay out. And they put a few in there. El Brito has joined. Stangenik as well stays.
And
Cheré and El Brito are the 2 replacements. The other 5 have been out there for 2 in a row now, so they've got a semi-stack or a stack and rotation going now.
Because I think they really understand how important the win would be for their development.
And the pole sails away.
That's less important for their development. Again, they want to breed that winning culture, that winning mentality. Get used to understanding how it feels to be in these big games and to be up against it in these big games and see if they can fight through, maybe flex things around a little bit and come through out the other side. Even if they don't come back to win it, they'll learn a huge amount from this game.
You better believe it. Ben Yonkers winds up, throws low, but it's complete. Bigmans. And there's a collision upfield. Ref Yonkers and Giffard, and Yonkers coming off. There could be some concern whether he makes it back out, but on his own volition, he is walking, just wincing. Abeltinch comes in for the replacement. Let's see if the French reciprocate.
Interesting they're crossing over Abeltinch, who doesn't usually get a lot of run out on the O-line.
No reciprocating substitution for the French. They will maintain their power line, and it's Bakemans who puts it into play to Orlovsky's. Orlovsky's fakes and breaks inside to Hootinen, and there's a pick call that's going back to the big Latvian in the 99 shirt.
Attention is picking up, isn't it, Steph?
Oh yeah, Benji. You can cut it with a knife right now. It is tense situation out there. Not much between these teams. Brussels with the lead and the disc. Orlovsky's goes backwards to Ben Yonkers. Now Demarais. Ben Yonkers again. Motioning hammers to Orlovsky's, and that man is very difficult to stop if you put a high throw up to him. There's not much that can be done to stop that, Benji.
When that hammer went up, did you have any doubt where it was coming down?
No, I mean, no. I was like, okay, where's that going? Eyes, process, zoom, spotted. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why it went there, because 99's on the other side.
You saw, by the way, a shot of Ref Yonkers icing his knee on the sideline. And again, it's still in Moon's DNA, these exciting over-the-top shots, but you don't see it anywhere near as often when you're used to. And I think that maybe sometimes teams forget that it's there, and you do that at your peril because you only need to just show them the hint, and every now and again it'll come, and you can't stop it when it's on.
You cannot. I like that Moon don't depend on that as their bread and butter anymore. but I like that they are able to use it and find it when they need to change the pace and change the the mentality of what the defense deploys against them.
Interestingly, Sofiane Bontemps has not been playing this weekend since Friday because he picked up a hamstring injury, but he's cleated up on the sideline.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. They haven't used him yet. We'll see if he gets burned in the late game, but you'd think if he's been shelved till now, we won't see him. Mate gets a crafty leading throw, and then to red. Roger Bourbon looks to go back to red and does. Oh, and has to make a very fancy grab there, then to Combray. Combray centers back to Monuz. He looked to go all the way around, but then looks back to the open side. Bravo, inside break. What a throw to Bouchon. A couple nice throws in that sequence.
How sick was that grab in the sense of that? Just made it look like, oh, this is obviously the right thing to do here. I mean, that is just pure instinct, but
cat-like reflexes.
Yeah, that's not a stuff you usually see on an ultimate pitch. It certainly is not. 13-12, again, France within touching distance. Would not surprise me to see them cross over a lot of those stars again. Beautiful inside break. They've got in trouble with those earlier in the game, but this time the throw goes early enough and the cut develops from central enough that the window is there and the defender can't quite close it in time. Where they've got in trouble previously, it's because the throw's been too late, so the defender's already there, or they're starting from a position that's kind of too parallel downfield, so they just have to put so much shape on it. It's a lot more difficult with a throw.
So French women's team had to settle for the silver medal. They are on the sideline now cheering on their men who need a small miracle here. They need themselves a pair of breaks with the pointy end approaching, the potential end coming soon. There is plenty of time for it, but it will require some heroics.
And those other French teams on the far sideline cheering on their compatriots. Brilliant pull.
Yonkers. Ben comes under to Muller. Abeltinch takes the disc. Bakeman's on the way. Muller comes under, and there is no ref Yonkers on this line, as mentioned earlier by Benji Rees.
We do, however, have both Latvians, Abeltinch and Orlovskis.
Switched over to the O-line in the late stages here. Orlovskis winds up. He puts it to Demarais. Bonnet, will he stand a chance? He was late to the party and did everything he could to have a chance, and they're having a chat about it. What a great air battle that was. Disc in the hand of Demarais.
As soon as that cut went, I had to look around. I mean, I don't know why I looked at who the thrower was. They were always going to throw it, but especially when it's Orlovskis.
And all players want to have a second look at this one. They're coming to see, and we're still queuing up.
This is the final Jeopardy music, I think, in the background.
It is the final Jeopardy music. Here's another look. And Bonnet making the claim that he had a touch first is what the claim is. That I can't say by my perspective that Bonnet touched it first. The best I could say is that it was at the same time.
Yeah, it's not clear to me that he had control. I think they're asking both players involved in it to come and have a look at it themselves.
And here they are in our booths. They're going to get one more look, I imagine, in that slow motion.
Oh, here we go.
Looking for the reactions from the players. They are, I'm not sure they're sold either way, but they're pretty happy that they got a look. Let's see how this shakes out now.
Contested, sent back. It was that
Contested,
tight.
sent back.
It makes sense, right?
I think that's fair enough too. It's
crowd always loves it when that happens.
I mean, the rule says that goes to the offense if it was simultaneous. Bonnet, even after seeing it, still convinced that he touched, I mean, a nanosecond earlier or whatever it may be. He believed he touched it earlier, and because of that, he contests the call.
Do you think Orlovsky's puts it up again?
I have a feeling he's not going to, but you never know.
I expected better heckling from a Windmill crowd, by the way, to encourage that option.
He didn't give it again. He went back to Ben Youngers.
Foul.
And foul on the mark. Lièvre happy to accept that he was at fault there. Disc is in. Yonkers goes to Desmarais. And continued on to Muller. Desmarais gets Ben Yonkers. He fakes the big. Asks for something to develop underneath and gets Muller. Right back to Ben Yonkers. He winds up, gives the backhand. There's help there, but there's also Orlovsky's there. And Orlovsky's comes off better than the help.
Orlovsky's is inevitable at times, isn't he? As the game ticks on, Mooncatchers are going back to their big plays, and France are struggling to shut them down. Giffard, he knows that Orlovsky's has got a really good position on this, so he has to go up early. It's his only option, and unfortunately for Giffard, he's good. He's not quite that good.
Yeah, tough man to cover, especially if you give him a step. 14-12 now. The French, first things first, get the hold and then see if they can pull off the miracle. Of course, Mooncatchers, with victory in their sights now, could end this on any given point.
It's so interesting to me that, you know, Mooncatchers, we're a different, more mature team. You know, we're going to work under a bit more. In a tight game as it's got on, they're like, but we are still Mooncatchers, right? Let's not forget who we are. I think it's also the fact that ref not being out there does change the field somewhat and how they attack it.
So at 14-12, the Mooncatchers with their sights set on victory. If they can break, the French need to hold here. Robles waits for the winding pull to come down upon him. And Appleton's poaching in the lane. And there was somebody lost there, but the French couldn't exploit immediately. Robles with the disc. He finds Bonnet. Bonnet back to Robles, fighting out of their own half. Straight back to Elliot Bonnet. Bonnet to Robles. And the French staying patient, but their options seem limited. Robles comes up line, and there is not many options for the French, but they find ways to connect. Axel, Roger, Bourbon, and it's the same two over there that we saw in the end zone earlier in the game having a chat. Axel, Roger, Bourbon. To Bonnet, Micote, and there's a pick on the field. Micote and Desmarais agree that the foul not being contested will come back in at a stall 0. Mikote looks to break up line. Instead, he gets a dump cut and all sorts of traffic. He goes wide side. Rouillard makes a play. Ulysse Rouillard. What a play. A fall away layout, Benji. What about that?
I think that's just ridiculous, isn't it? Let's not cut it any other way. That is more than a bit ridiculous. What a grab by Ulysse Rouillard. I don't think we've called his name all game, but that is some way to make your presence felt in the dying embers of this contest. Absolutely swung cross field. Is it Michotet, I think, with the throw? The rangy number 7. 14-13. Got to get breaks now, France.
Yep.
Game point for Moon.
Game for Moon. Rouillard, of course, a member of Is No Good a season ago. A out-of-town player who plays in Le Mans with Les Manchots. Doing it here for Team France, wearing that 99 jersey and doing his team proud.
I thought penguins were flightless.
Not that one. Rouillard, and I mean, that was his, when we picked him up late season, we watched footage of his layout Ds that he was doing at Tom's last year, and that was the resume basically sealer, like, okay, yeah, we'll take this guy. Well, he's putting more on his ULTI.TV video resume with championship game score layouts like that one, Benji. Game to 15 points, as per always, but now confirmed as time has expired. Demarais and Yonkers, could this be it? Hootnin to Yonkers. Yonkers looking upfield, returns to center to Demarais, right back to Ben Yonkers. Demarais off at a pace, but Yonkers puts it away. Muller. And the French defense tightening it up, it must be said. Benjamin Yonkers goes again to Muller, and they're only going backwards. Abeltinch, and there's the gainer to Muller. Using that line, Orlovsky's drags the foot in. And he floats one back in through 2-3 sets of hands, and now Hootnin right back to Yonkers. Chance to win, championship point here in Amsterdam for the team from Brussels. Can the French prevent? Demarais looks upfield, finds Yonkers for another short one. Yonkers gets Abeltinch. They're working that far sideline now and chipping away at this long field. Muller to Yonkers. It's only Ben Yonkers on the field right now. Now they get Demarais. Defense remains tight, but the completions continue. Ben Yonkers, shot for goal. It's Orlovsky's there. Mooncatchers have done it. Champions here at Windmill. Benji, what a show.
What an absolute barnstormer of a game. You could tell how the French pressure was wearing down the Mooncatchers. And in the past, they might have buckled a little bit, but this time they held firm, kept patient. They used the length of the field well. And in the end, some of the big players coming through. Ben Yonkers rips it to Orlovsky's, catches for the victory. And Yonkers has his shirt off, waved around his head in celebration. After heartbreak last year, Mooncatchers are the Open Division Windmill champions.
Yeah, hats off to the French team there. I think they really stuck their necks out there, did everything they could to remain competitive throughout that contest. The amount of spectacular play from both sides, but speaking of the French, you know, the Rouillard, the Callahan D, we had a couple layout Ds in the middle. The French were really putting it out there. They stacked their lines. They got a break in the dying minutes that put them within striking range, and it just wasn't enough. This Moon team, just too good on this iteration, Benji.
Yeah, it looks like Hannah Pendlebury has grabbed a likely MVP candidate from that game. As it ticked on towards the dying stages, I think there was certainly more of a concerted effort from France to mark him out, but the damage had been done by that point.
Yeah, he was identified. We're looking at the team stats now. 4 breaks to 5, that tight of a game. 8 turns to 9, that tight of a game. The clean breaks and clean holds, I mean, the clean holds a little further apart, but I mean, Benji, there is very little separating those two squads, and it was just a phenomenal final. And again, getting all these stats in from Force Ultimate, big shout out to them while we're there. We love being able to put these graphics up, and we're looking forward to being able to celebrate with the Mooncatchers. They'll be joining us as a whole team in the winner's circle soon. And even sooner, we will have Hannah Pendlebury coming to us with the man of the match. Dan Demarais and Hannah Pendlebury are ready at the midfield mark.
So, Dan Demarais, or as anybody who marks you, damn Demarais, that was an amazing performance. You were all over the stats board. How are you feeling right now?
Tired, but happy at the same time.
Well, that's the perfect blend for the end of a championship, because, you know, if you had a little bit extra left to give, you know. But, so what does it mean to Mooncatchers to win here at Windmill after last year's heartbreak?
Yeah, last year was hard. We lost 15-8 against Clapham, so we knew that we had to work hard to get in the final again this year, and we did. We won every tournament, Tom's, Elite Invite, so we showed now we show Europe that we are the best at the moment, so that's it.
Indeed, that's triple gold of the past tournaments we've seen you at. But you as an individual, Dan, obviously we saw you way back when in Leuven, your home kind of alma mater, as it were, with Jet Set. But what's your favourite thing about playing with Moon?
Moon is like family. I said it earlier. We just have a great connection. We play already from the U17 together, at Belgium, at just fun tournaments. And those guys are the same age. We grew up together. So I think that's the main thing that connects us to each other.
Absolutely, and the Belgian program is so incredible. I'm very excited for a couple of weeks' time for see you in Nottingham. Absolutely. So, to finish this off, for the many fans watching the live streams, do you have any messages for everyone back at home?
To my sister and my mom, hello, and to my sister, good luck with your exams. I know it's hard, but you can do it.
Well, there you go. Inspirational. Thank you so much, and enjoy your celebrations this evening.
See you.
Thanks, Dan.
And there you have it from Hannah and Dan from the sideline, the post-game action. We're going to ensure these German ladies make a bit of space for the Mooncatcher boys to come in, even though they look very comfortable hanging out. There's some tattooing happening in the winner's circle.
Legit tattooing, not like transfers or henna. No. People actually getting tattooed in there.
And so we're gonna go check in on that. You stick onto that channel. Don't go anywhere on this stream either, because the mixed final coming up very soon.
Oh yes.
Benji and Christina to call that one. On behalf of this whole crew, thanks again for being with us. I'm Stef Pazzo, and on behalf of the great Benjamin Reese, thank you for joining, and we'll see you very soon for the next one.
BM for short, which fun fact also stands for value.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ULTI.TV.